storytellers. Welcome to the Storyteller Shelf podcast, season 2026. Today, we are excited to welcome Tom Angleberger to the show. To start, could you share a little bit about who you are and what kind of stories you love to write?
Well, hi. Thanks so much for having me on the show. This is fantastic. Since you didn't introduce Esso, I'll introduce him real quick. He doesn't have a lot to say, but he's very insistent on being right here. So, my name is Tom Angleberger, and I've written about 50 books now. And 9 of them have been graphic novels. And so, 2 of my most recent graphic novels are Two-Headed Chicken, Chaos in the Cosmic Library, and Dino Poet Pen Pals. Pen Pals is not out yet, but the first Dino Poet is. When I was a kid, I wanted to write comic books real bad. And eventually I gave up on that dream. I realized I was never going to be good enough to do that. And then weirdly, one day recently, I stopped and I thought, wait a minute, I write comic books for a living now. Somehow or another, the dream came true through this weird serpentine life that I've led that's gone in so many different places. And so I'm just having the time of my life. I love the kinds of stories that kids love. And so my goal, like every day, is can I make this story work better for kids? Can I make a great story for the kids? And it's such a great job to have. It's so much fun.
Can you share how you broke into publishing and how you found your agent and what is the process like?
Wow. Well, it was a long, painful journey, very painful, very difficult. And in fact, like I said, I really wanted to be a comic book artist, but very early on, it was clear that wasn't going to make any money right away. And I ended up taking first off like a factory job and working weekends as a professional juggler. That was what I was doing. And I started working also as a reporter. And I truly loved being a reporter. It was the second best job next to being a children's book author. And one of the stories that I was once sent out to cover was about a big change happening at a sewage treatment plant in the town that I covered. And I was sort of doing a phone interview thing, and my editor really called me on the carpet and said, your story's not any good. You've got to go out there and find out what's really going on at the sewage treatment plant. And so I ended up going to take like a 2-hour tour of the sewage treatment plant, and the smells and the sights, unforgettable, unforgettable. And I came back and I wrote the greatest story of all time. And my other editor, who was the one who actually would go through and improve it, wrote back. I sent my thing in, and he wrote back and said, "You've got to be kidding. We can't publish this." So I watered it down. I cleaned it up. I made it less disgusting for the adults to read, but it stuck in my mind. You know who wants to read what I wrote? Adults can't handle it. Kids want to read what I wrote. Now, would you like to hear what I wrote? The big thing was they're changing the process at the sewage treatment plant. In the past, they've had a poop fountain. It literally shoots the sewage up into the air. It's all part of clean. You have to clean the water before you put it back in the river. It's all part of cleaning the water. Stuff's going everywhere. Well, somebody out there has invented something new, which is similar. It's an aerator, similar to a poop jacuzzi. The poop doesn't shoot up in the air, but masses of bubbles are just shooting through this thing, aerating the sewage, getting it all cleaned out so it can go back in the river. So the highlight of the basic story is they're shutting down the sewage fountain. So the headline of the lead of my article was, "The chocolate waters will dance no more." Yeah, and that's what got booted by by my editor. Said, "No way." So that is in the book. It's in the book. My first book, Quick Pick Adventure Society. It's in the book, and couldn't be prouder. And that's what started things off. That was my first book to get published. Everything else came later. It was a bomb. The first book was a bomb. Apparently, The Chocolate Waters Dancing No More was not what the industry was looking for in 2007 or whenever it was. My agent understood. She dug that, and she was the one who spotted that one, because I had a bunch of unpublished manuscripts at the time. She was the one that spotted that one and said, "Hey, maybe this could be something." And by the way, my agent is Karen Wiseman, the greatest of them all, the most wonderful person around. But that got me started, that got me going, and next thing you know, Origami Yoda came along, and lots of Star Wars things came along, Marvel, and all those other opportunities that I've had. But it all started with the chocolate water.
Since you've written over 50 books, could you go into what it's like for you to write a new book? What does that creative process look like from the spark of an idea to a workable draft?
Hey, storytellers! If you're still juggling Word docs, sticky notes, and 47 browser tabs to keep your story straight, it's time to simplify your writing life. Meet Scrivener, the writing software built by writers for writers. Whether you're drafting a novel, a picture book, or even a dissertation, Scrivener helps you organize your scenes, research, and revisions all in one beautifully structured workspace.
Many of our guests on the Storyteller's Shelf podcast have raved about Scrivener and how it completely changed their writing flow. You can move chapters around with a click, store your notes right next to your draft, and even set word count goals that actually keep you motivated.
Curious? Check out our affiliate link. It helps support the show at no extra cost to you. And let us know if you give it a try. We'd love to hear how it helps your writing process.
Well, I like to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. A lot of times I come up with an idea and it, I get fiddle with it some, and then it sort of sits on my computer in a half-baked state. And sometimes it'll sit there for a long time, and then I'll realize this book could work for maybe like Dan Santat. And that's how The Princess and the Pit Stop happened. I had that story. It was just sitting around on my hard drive. And suddenly I thought, wait a minute, Dan Santat could make this into something. And I took a while. It took a while. It's not easy to get Dan Santat. It took a while. But then Dan, his ideas and his visions helped me finish the thing off and shape it up. And I think I even changed the ending because of Dan. And so I really like that process. And I've been working recently with John Hendricks. John Hendricks and I did this book together. And in fact, it's been out for a while, but it's just now coming out as a board book. We're both just so excited about it. It's a perfect board book. And we've been working on a new book too. And once again, it's just a bunch of stuff. And one day I was like, John Hendricks would be great. So going back and forth with John Hendricks, it developed from just a little scraps into a story. And so I really like working with somebody else and having somebody else because sometimes you try with somebody else and they tell you, no, that's no good at all. A fact, very famous author and I spent a while on a book together and it never got anywhere because that author said that I had done a terrible job. And that author may very well have been right. I'm not throwing shade here, but that's actually maybe a good thing. My way of writing is always like, I'll come back and fix this later. I'll come back and polish this. So I wish I had a better process, but my process is just sort of like sprint ahead without thinking things through. And then when I'm done, be like, yes, that was exactly what I meant to do, even though it's a carnage and disaster, mayhem everywhere. Now, I am somewhat joking. I've been known to make like an outline and some books, like all the books in the Flytrap files, that was 9 books, they all ended up following a very regimented order. I did have to sort of plan ahead with that, but I don't know. Even there, it was more like having a Jello mold for each book, but just still randomly dumping ingredients into it, which may be why none of the Jello molds ended up coming out. They all came out like a big blob.
For authors about to work with an editor for the first time, what advice would you give for navigating revisions, building a productive relationship?
I tell you, if I've learned one thing, and I wish editors would be more clear when they're sending you the revisions, because sometimes you get an email and it's like, hey, have a great weekend. And you click on it and then you open it up and it's like, here are 50 things wrong with your story. So don't even look. Don't even look. Let a few days go by. Wait until you've really got time. Then look at it and then do not reply. You're not allowed to write back. You're not allowed to write back for like a week. The Origami Yoda series, there were times when the revisions came in and I was like, forget it. Forget it. The whole series is done. We're done. We're not going to make it We're not going to make it through the trilogy. We're done right now, this minute. It's all over. And then I would have some time to think about it. And I would be like, wait a minute. These are only small changes. We aren't throwing the whole book out. I could make some small changes here and there, and or maybe push back a little bit here where I need to. And so, you get through it. But man, that first visceral just anger. This is, why did you buy the book if you didn't like it? That's like often my first response when I read the revisions, It's like, why are you killing it? But they're not killing it, they're helping it. And, with the Origami Yoda series, my editor, Susan, she was the one, her revisions changed everything. If you read the book, the twist, that wasn't in the original thing. The twist is the heart and soul of the book. No twist. No twist. That was all Susan's telling me something was missing from the book. That's what a lot of the best editors do, is they just say something's missing. Here's where you're not getting your point across. So I've been lucky to work with some great editors. Susan with the Origami Yoda books. I currently work with Erica Finkel at Abrams. She is a fantastic editor. Oh my gosh, she's great. Oh, by the way, Susan is Susan Van Meter, and she was the editor also on the Two-Headed Chicken. I'm just so lucky. I'm so lucky to work with so many great people, editors and illustrators. Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because you use a lot of humor in your books, what are a few craft moves you use to make humor land on the page, especially for kid readers?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, and often I'm not really sure if the humor is working or not. For me, one of the number one thing is repetitive humor. I've always loved repetitive humor. Editors hate repetitive humor, and copy editors loathe it. The copy, if your joke makes it past a repetitive joke, makes it past the editor, copy editors, they don't even realize that it's a joke. They just see these, why is he repeating something over and over again? So they're going to kill it. By the way, copy editors, the other key MVPs of the team, you can't live without the copy editors. They have saved me over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm not knocking the copy editors, but man, they do not think I'm funny. I've noticed that. So I have to work hard. To get my jokes past them. Let's see. Boy, it's a great question. For these Two-Headed Chicken, the real goal was, what did I think was funny in the fourth grade? The fourth grade was a terrible, terrible year for me. As an undiagnosed autistic kid, I was in a really bad situation. It was an awful year, but the teacher had these, I'm not sure if they were Scholastic, but they were these really cheap space jokes books, like 101 space jokes. And they were just the dumbest possible jokes. They were just so silly and ridiculous. And that book helped me get through that year. And so I try to remember that. And I try to remember, hey, man, if a dumb joke is going to help somebody out there, I'm the one who's willing to look like an idiot by telling the dumb joke. And so these books are just full of the most ridiculous nonsense I could think of. All of it is just, and they were so bad that I had to have the reader comment on the books. I don't know if you've seen them, but the reader chimes in and is like, I'm the reader of this lousy book. I thought maybe this one would be better, but it's even worse.
I love it. You have the Deadpool breaking the fourth wall thing where you have the reader talking in and chiming in. That's my aces right there. So I enjoyed it.
You know what's crazy? I didn't know this, but somebody told me recently it goes back to Tristram Shandy. Tristram Shandy, published like 3,000 years ago, had like the reader break in and say like, boy, this really isn't working, Tristram, or whatever. So, yeah, nothing is new. I stole that from Mad Magazine or somewhere, but Tristram did it even earlier.
All right. So we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit from writing craft for a brief moment. Let's talk about promotion, because when you're an author, you take on, and the headache is coming for all of us, you take on a bit of promotion yourself. The publisher can't do everything. So Tom, do you have any approaches when it comes to promoting your book that you would recommend for newer authors who are just building their platforms?
I wish I did. I wish I did. Have you ever seen my Instagram account? Like, if I post something about a new book, 3 likes and I'm dancing. I mean, it is so hard. The old school stuff, the school visits, I love the school visits. I just have a great time with the kids. Getting out there, if you're a new author, maybe do some free visits to figure out how it works and stuff, and learn how to do a great school visit, because it's fun. It's fun for everybody when it goes right. Zoom visits are great. I've done a million classroom Zoom visits. And, as a children's author, I'm trying to get my book in front of kids. And on Instagram, I've like got to convince an adult that they should show my book to a kid. But if I can do a Zoom visit or a store visit or a school visit, I might have the chance of actually seeing the kid and just saying, hey, look, the dumbest knock knock joke you've ever read is in this book somewhere. It's up to you to find it. And they might be interested enough to find it. It's hard to get an adult to make that connection for me. So I prefer making the connection straight to the kids. And the other way I do that is with my website, origamiyoda.com, which is one of the biggest things is in my life. I mean, not the biggest thing on the internet, obviously, but one of the biggest things in my life is this website. I've had a constant back and forth with readers for 15, 16 years now. Now, the actual kids grow up, and I'm actually friends with a lot of the grown-up super folders from, 10 or more years ago. But the kids on my website are constantly evolving, constantly changing, and yet it's, to me, this core group of people that I'm writing books for, that I'm trying to entertain. I make silly videos for them. We have this big contest every March. And what they do in return is they send in origami and art and all kinds of stuff. And it's absolutely amazing to me. We've got maybe the biggest origami archive on the internet. Thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of kid-made origami, stuff kids have made. And I love seeing it. They're constantly surprising me. You'd think it would be all the same stuff after 16 years. Constantly surprising me. I absolutely love it. If you can find a way to connect directly with kids like that, since you're children's authors, if you can find a way, you should do it. It's a lot of fun dealing directly with the kids.
Can we ask you a bit more on what is the workflow of a school visit for you? What do you do when you're there in front of the kids?
Oh my gosh. We have such a great time. I mean, that's constantly evolving too. But the number one thing is I'm going to have an easel and I'm going to draw pictures for the kids on the spot. And the reason for that is when I was in college, I wasn't a kid, but I got to go see Norman Bridwell give a thing, and he drew Clifford. He drew Clifford for us right there on the spot. Now, I don't remember, he was a very nice man. He was very entertaining. I don't remember a single word he said, but I remember, because I'm old and that was a long time ago, but I clearly remember he drew Clifford. So I'm always like, if these kids are going to remember one thing, they're going to remember they saw this weird guy come to their school and he drew Origami Yoda, or he drew a two-headed chicken being chased by a moose. And so I usually start a drawing and then I let them fill in the details for the drawing. Well, what's chasing the chicken? We've already done a moose. Tell me what's chasing the chicken. And they're having all kinds of crazy answers. So I'll start drawing the picture to theirs. Draw Bad Bunny getting chased by the chicken. And I'm like, well, I can't draw Bad Bunny. You'll have to come up and draw Bad Bunny. And so they come up and they draw that. It's so much fun. We just have a ball. And at the end of it, we've usually written some poems together. We've drawn some dinosaurs. We've done some Star Wars stuff. We've drawn two-headed chicken, or I've taught them how to draw it. And then they come up and draw one of the heads. I want to create something on the spot. I want that for them to see, but I also want them to be part of it. And when we're done, I'm going to be like, we made this. And usually they're pretty excited about that, even if what we made was the giant mess. So that's it for me. That's what it's all about. And often the teachers want there to be a question and answer period. I'm not crazy about that. That's usually, I found that the kids have zero interest in the answer. They just wanted a chance. Hey, Mr. Angleberger, what kind of Cheetos do you like best? And then they're not even let you say, well, I like this. And then you look back, they're not even paying any attention. This actual kid that asked the question, he's not even paying attention. He's high-fiving his buddies because he got to ask the question. So I'm not into the Q&A. I'm into the let's make stuff together. And that's my goal, is for us to make something cool to leave behind for them to hang up in the library. They may not even remember me, but they'll remember this crazy thing we made together.
I think that's wonderful advice, especially for people who are newer. We kind of get it in our heads that there has to be a big presentation attached to whatever we're doing for the book. And I think it makes us a little nervous. And sometimes we overperform and end up not connecting with the kids in the way that we should be. And we know we can.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of authors do PowerPoints. My show was PowerPoint based when I did this book because I wanted them to see the pictures. I wanted everybody to see the pictures. So what we did was, but I still wanted it to be involve all the kids. So what we did was sound effects. I would be like, okay, the third graders are going to make the sound of this. And the second graders are going to make the sound of this. And the kindergartners are going to make the sound of this. And then we get to the page at the end. Aren't these beautiful pictures, by the way? We get to the page at the end and everything is on this page. So I'm like, first graders, second graders, third graders, sixth graders. We're all yelling and screaming and doing stuff. So even if you're doing a PowerPoint, you can still interact with the kids during the PowerPoint. I definitely do not just click, 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 and not involve the kids. You've got to get them involved.
Let me circle back to another thread that came up before when you were talking about posting on social media. It's really hard to post on social media, but a lot of it kind of feels like rejection when you don't get the thumbs up, you don't get to the audience that you're trying to reach. And it reminds me of being an author in general. There's a lot of rejection in the totality of the career when it comes from just writing manuscripts to yourself, liking it or not, and then trying to get an agent and them passing or not, and then you're on to editors and them saying yes or no. So there's a lot of no's involved in this business. Do you have any advice for cultivating a good mindset when it comes to being pelted heavily with no's in this industry?
I hate being told no. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I've been told no so many times, and it doesn't stop. You think, oh, he's a bestseller. He gets to write whatever he wants to. Well, I don't. And so I don't get to do whatever I want. And I get told no all the time. Oh man, it's frustrating. I do say don't throw it out. Don't throw it out. Like I have a book that I've been working on that my agent Karen, she wouldn't even send it out. An editor didn't get to reject it because Karen rejected it. And she's right. She knows what she's talking about. She's awesome. So what I'm doing now is I sometimes think about it and I'm thinking, what is it that Karen didn't like that I could change that she would see something in it and we could get it out and she would want to get it out there. So yeah, I mean, maybe my advice is don't think, oh, everybody else is wrong and I'm right. Think maybe we could both be right. I just have to figure out a few little places where I'm wrong to fix so that we can all be right and we can all be happy. So yeah, but I hate being told no. Oh, it's so frustrating.
It is really frustrating, but Tom, you have been so honest this entire time. It's hard to be an author. It's hard to be an illustrator. And sometimes I think we forget that you can talk about how hard it is. Because once we succeed, you kind of want to keep it under wraps sometimes. So to have a real talk, it's been wonderful. Before we go, we want to give you the opportunity, though, to tell us about any forthcoming projects that we should be on the lookout from you.
My forthcoming stuff is the board book for McToad. The Two-Headed Chicken series has wrapped up. And I would love more people to take a look at this because this is filled with kidlit jokes. This chapter in here where I do terrible things to Charlotte's Web is maybe my favorite thing I've ever written. I mean, it's just wrong. No one should do something like this to Charlotte's Web. It's wrong and it's reprehensible and it's my favorite thing I ever wrote and no one has read it yet. So if you haven't read it yet, please read it. Please give that a try. And then I still got the Dino Poet series going. John Hendricks and I are working on a new book. I've got a new graphic novel series coming out that's being illustrated. Readers will be very glad to hear it's being illustrated by somebody else. A fantastic illustrator this time is going to work on this series. So, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff I'm excited about. there's a lot of books I'm excited about reading that other people are writing. So I've got a lot of things that I'm really looking forward to coming up.
Well, Tom, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing all of your insights with our storytellers. We loved having you on today.
Well, thanks so much. And Esso says thank you too. He really enjoyed his moment in the sun.
Thanks for listening to the Storyteller Shelf podcast. If today's episode helped you, please subscribe and share it with a friend. In the link below, you can explore our educational library and learn about what's coming up next, including our live summits and the BB Notable Book Awards. We also publish a limited number of curated blog features for authors and publishers who want to spotlight a book we believe will truly serve young readers. And for companies and organizations that support kidlit creators, we offer ways to partner through sponsored episodes and select opportunities that are a strong fit for our audience. Until next time, keep writing your story.